Real, new, now. This is Ozarks Fox News.
Springfield and Greene County are announcing new measures for the next phase on the COVID-19 road to recovery. This new phase will take effect on June 15th, allowing for 50% capacity at all businesses in the city. Bailey Stroll is here tonight to break down the rest of the Phase 3 order. Bailey, what will be changing?
Well, a few things actually, Sarah. First, sports will be allowed again. That means sports practices and games, but spectators at those games will be limited to 50% capacity. The same goes for churches and religious services, and all businesses really in general moving from 25% capacity again to 50% capacity. Phase 3 also means new guidelines on social distancing and wearing a mask.
If it's not practical to have 6 feet social distancing in a business or other activity, we are indicating here that we're comfortable with and encouraging that 3 feet is sufficient, but masking must be required of all persons.
Phase 3 brings a big push on wearing masks. The city hopes it will help stop spread as more crowding and less social distancing take effect Monday.
I wholeheartedly recommend masking when social distancing isn't otherwise an option.
Let's make this some positive peer pressure to share what a simple step of wearing a mask can be in helping to prevent this disease.
While most Springfield businesses will operate now at 50% capacity, the city is only allowing 25% capacity for public gatherings.
And those are just for city permitted activities on city property or city right-of-way. So we feel pretty comfortable with that, and it's difficult to trace if we have a case.
And that will likely include any future protests planned in Springfield. And when asked if the health department was worried about a spike in cases due to recent protests, Health Director Clay Goddard responded with this.
It's certainly not ideal to have protests in conjunction with a pandemic, but it is what it is, right? Which is worse, a global pandemic or, a history of oppression and racism that people are protesting.
Goddard says he was encouraged to see so many protesters wearing masks, and if a case would come from those protests,
we'll start to see that unfold a little bit early next week, maybe even as early as today.
Well, Bailey, you mentioned several big changes that are taking effect with social distancing and the stay-at-home orders. So how is this going to change churches?
Well, for churches, before I believe that they were going off the capacity of just their sanctuaries, to 25% capacity there. It's now going to be opened up for the entire church facility to have 50% capacity. And then with that social distancing change of 3 feet, if you're wearing a mask, that will also help during the actual services in the sanctuary.
Okay, gotcha, because it was 6 feet, right? Even in churches?
Yes.
Okay. So that's one of the big changes. You also mentioned that public gatherings on city-owned property still going to have kind of a restriction there, right?
Yes, if it is city-owned property like the Park Central Square in Springfield, that is still a capacity of about 25%, which can still hold a lot of people. But that's just because with gatherings like that, like the recent protests, if somebody were to get sick, it is so hard to contact trace all of those people if somebody were to have a positive case come from that.
Right, and the health director actually mentioned those protests specifically, right?
Yes, he said, it's not an ideal situation to have protests going on during a global pandemic, but it is what it is, Clay Goddard said. And he said, what's more important right now, a global pandemic or, systematic oppression? So
good point there. All right, well, thank you, Bailey.
Thank you.
And if you would like to see the entire set of guidelines put out by the City of Springfield and the Health Department, all you have to do is head over to our website, ozarksfirst.com. Well, more than 2 million confirmed coronavirus cases in the U.S., and the outbreak is still spreading, leading some local leaders to impose new restrictions over objections from the White House. Fox News correspondent Jonathan Serrrie has more from Atlanta.
The debate over reopening the American economy is heating up as rates of infection increase in states easing social distancing rules. Some 24 states now reporting spikes as businesses reopen and folks get back to work. But the Trump administration says there won't be another nationwide shutdown of non-essential businesses, even if there is a second wave.
We are not going to shut down the economy. What you do have is certain spots are seeing a little bit of a jump up. The CDC and the health people are all over it.
Some state and local officials are taking matters into their own hands, announcing new restrictions and stay-at-home orders for coronavirus hotspots, such as Portland, Austin, and Phoenix. But while infection rates are on the rise in the South and West, they're holding steady in the Northeast. A number of studies now looking at whether states that were initially hardest hit were able to develop a herd immunity to the virus.
The question for me is, how long are people going to have this strong immunity?
Some lawmakers are suggesting the surge in cases is a result of increased testing, but health officials say those numbers are misleading, and we should be looking at the percentage of people testing positive.
The proportion of them coming back positive hasn't really gone down. So it means that you're testing more and you're finding more, which means there's more there to be found.
Public health officials are urging people who participated in recent protests over the death of George Floyd to get a COVID-19 test as quickly as possible. In Atlanta, Jonathan Serrie, Fox News.
The president is shifting his focus to the upcoming election in November, announcing a rally next week in Oklahoma. His opponent going on the attack, criticizing his response to the pandemic. Fox News correspondent Mike Emanuel reports from Washington.
With less than 5 months to go until the 2020 presidential election, both candidates are eager to start campaigning without any restrictions. President Trump is getting a head start. He plans on holding a rally with thousands of supporters next Friday in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which falls on Juneteenth, a day that commemorates the end of slavery in the U.S.
He's going to have a rally. Going to have a rally. And he doesn't wear a mask, and he doesn't think this. I mean, come on.
Democrats have criticized the decision not only for health concerns, but because of the location. Tulsa was the site of a major anti-black riot and massacre almost 100 years ago. Senator Kamala Harris tweeted, "This isn't just a wink to white supremacists, he's throwing them a welcome home party." President Trump responded to the criticism in an interview saying his rallies are important to his campaign.
In the history of politics, I think I can say, there's never been any group or any person that's had rallies like I do. I go and I just say, get me the biggest stadium, and we fill it up every time.
In order to register for the event, the Trump campaign is requiring supporters to sign a waiver that says the campaign cannot be held liable for any exposure to the coronavirus. So far, former Vice President Biden does not have any planned public events with supporters. His campaign is sticking to virtual events to get his message out. In Washington, Mike Emanuel, Fox News.
Still to come for you tonight, the coronavirus pandemic has been impacting economies around the world. We tell you just how much the United Kingdom was impacted in April. Also, the CDC has issued a new set of guidelines for Americans to follow to have the best chance to avoid catching COVID-19. Those stories and more right after the break.
You're watching Ozarks Fox News. Real, new, now.
Making news around the world, President Donald Trump has authorized sanctions and visa restrictions against International Criminal Court officials investigating potential U.S. war crimes in Afghanistan. Now, it's not the first step the Trump administration has taken to try to stop the probe. Last year, they revoked the visa of the court's chief prosecutor. The U.S. is not a party to the ICC, and U.S. officials say the investigation is an affront to American sovereignty. But the UN and humanitarian groups say they're disturbed by the way the Trump administration is trying to delegitimize the court. The United Kingdom's gross domestic product fell by 20.4% in April. It's the largest monthly fall on record as the full impact of the coronavirus lockdown comes into focus. According to the Office for National Statistics, which compiles the figures, all areas of the economy were hit hard, especially education and health. UK trade with the rest of the world was also badly hit. The slump comes after a 5.8% fall in GDP in March. A statue of former British Prime Minister Winston Churchill has been boarded up. It was sprayed with the words, "Churchill was a racist," during an earlier protest. Despite his World War II heroism, Churchill was known to have held racist views. Britain's current Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, says it's absurd and shameful that a memorial to this wartime leader would be a target of attack. Statues of Gandhi and Nelson Mandela are being protected as well. Russian President Vladimir Putin takes part in a ceremony to mark Russia Day. The national celebration in Moscow is Putin's first big public event since the country went on lockdown due to the coronavirus pandemic more than 2 months ago. Putin observed the hoisting of the national flag and also addressed a small crowd. In his speech, Putin said he was confident an absolute majority of Russians would support constitutional amendments, allowing him to remain in power for 2 more terms. Looking at medical news tonight, the CDC giving new guidelines today on minimizing everyday risks of catching coronavirus. The health agency is reminding Americans to regularly wash their hands, social distance, and wear a face covering in public. Other advice includes taking the stairs when possible and bringing your own food to cookouts and other events. Now, as for larger gatherings, the CDC is recommending organizers of concerts, sporting events, protests, and political rallies to encourage safe practices. Well, masks seem to be the most effective way to reduce person-to-person spread of COVID-19. That's according to a new study published Thursday. Researchers in Texas and California looked at infection rates in Italy and New York before and after face masks became mandatory. Both places saw a slower spread of the virus once those measures were in place. Scientists say face coverings block aerosols and droplets to prevent airborne transmissions of the virus. Although social distancing, isolation, and hand sanitizing can minimize contact transmission, they don't protect against airborne transmission. Well, a Missouri nurse is fighting for her life after treating COVID-19 patients for 6 weeks. Sean McDowell spoke with the nurse's mother and colleagues who say they are holding out for a miracle.
29-year-old Ashley Arrowwood said she had a calling to help patients fighting coronavirus. She never dreamed it would lead to a hospital bed of her own. Arrowwood's mother, Vicki, says Ashley quit her job at one Metro hospital to move to St. Louis, where she spent 6 weeks working with COVID-19 patients. When she moved home last week, Vicki Arrowwood says Ashley felt sick within a day. Now she's on a ventilator at St. Luke's Hospital, receiving oxygen to battle the virus.
It's been terrible, and I can't go see her. That's the hardest part.
Ashley is Vicki Arrowwood's only child. The Disney fanatic wanted to go where she could help people battling the virus that's killed more than 115,000 Americans. St. Louis felt like the right fit.
I'm just at a loss for words. I don't know what to do without her. She's all I have.
Arrowwood's nursing colleagues are holding out hope for a miracle.
It kind of took the breath away from me.
Taylor Wilmus spent 5 years working with Ashley, and as a nurse, she knows the struggle COVID-19 patients face.
I think we all have that hope, and we're trying to just pray and pray over her and lift her up to be that presence for her since we can't be there with her.
Vicki Arrowwood says for now her daughter is in a sedated state. Doctors say that will give her body a chance to get more oxygen and have a better chance at beating coronavirus. Sean McDowell, Fox 4 News.
Still to come for you tonight, our Heather Lewis sits down with Steve Pokin from the Springfield News Leader. His upcoming column is about a birthday celebration.
Push-ups to bicep curls to lunges, holding a weight, you name it.
Stick around, we have that entire conversation coming up right after this quick break.